July 18, 1975. Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, Long Island, New York. 2:47 p.m. The arena is empty. 17,000 seats, all vacant. Just the stage crew, the band, Elvis's inner circle, and Elvis. He stands center stage, white jumpsuit, gold belt, microphone in hand. The band plays the opening bars of Suspicious Minds. Elvis begins to sing, his voice filling the massive space. Then, a door opens, stage left. The music continues, but heads turn. Someone walks onto the stage. Not supposed to be there, not part of the crew, not part of the show. An older black man, 60-something, gray hair, wearing coveralls, pushing a mop bucket. He freezes, realizes where he is, what he's interrupted. The music stops. Elvis lowers the microphone. The arena falls silent. What happens in the next 11 minutes will reveal something the world rarely sees. The real Elvis. Not the image, not the performance, not the king, the man. And what that man does will change one person's life forever. Here is the story. 2 hours earlier, 12:30 p.m., the same arena. James Crawford arrives for his shift, janitor, custodial staff, been working at Nassau Coliseum for 8 years. Quiet man, keeps to himself, does his job, goes home. Today's like any other day, except it's not. Elvis Presley is here, rehearsing for tonight's concert, sold out. All 17,000 tickets, gone in 40 minutes. James doesn't care about Elvis. Not a fan, not interested in rock and roll. He prefers Motown, The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson. That's his music. But Elvis pays the bills. Concert means overtime. Overtime means extra money. Extra money means he can fix his daughter's car. So James punches in, gets his supplies. Mop, bucket, cleaning solution, starts his rounds. The offices first, then the concession areas, then the bathrooms. Standard route. He's done it 1,000 times. But today, his supervisor, Dennis Murphy, stops him. James, when you're done with the bathrooms, skip the main arena. They're rehearsing in there. Don't want any interruptions. James nods. Understood. He works through his checklist. Methodical. Thorough. By 2:30 p.m., he's finished everything, except the main arena floor. He remembers Dennis's instruction. Skip it. But there's a problem. During setup this morning, someone spilled soda. Entire case of Coca-Cola, right by the backstage entrance. Sticky. Getting stickier in the July heat. Becoming a hazard. James stands in the hallway, looks at the closed door to the arena, hears music inside, muffled. He could leave it. Let the night crew handle it. Not his problem. But that's not who James is. He's been doing this job for 8 years, never left a mess, never cut corners, never done less than his best. He's not about to start now. James makes a decision. He'll slip in, quick, clean the spill, slip out. They won't even notice. He opens the door. The music hits him, loud. Elvis's voice, the full band, but James focuses on the task. Head down, pushing his mop bucket, heading for the spill, 20 feet from the door, right by the stage stairs. He reaches it, starts mopping, then he hears it. The music stops. James looks up. His heart drops. He's on the stage, not near the stage, on it. He took a wrong turn in the dim light, followed the wrong path. And now he's standing center stage, under the lights, mop in hand, bucket beside him. And Elvis Presley is staring right at him. The entire room is silent. Band members frozen, crew members staring. Red West, Elvis's bodyguard, starts moving. Joe Esposito, Elvis's road manager, stands up from his seat in the front row. They're coming for James, to remove him, to escort him out, maybe to fire him. James's mind races. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But before he can finish, before Red reaches him, Elvis raises his hand. Stop. Red freezes. Elvis walks toward James, slow, deliberate, his boots clicking on the stage. James wants to disappear, wants the floor to swallow him. This is it. He's done. Fired. Humiliated. In front of everyone. Elvis stops 3 feet away. Looks at James. then smiles. Not the stage smile, not the performance smile, a real smile, warm, kind. "Sir, I'm terribly sorry. I thought I was backstage. I was just trying to clean up a spill. I didn't mean to interrupt." Elvis holds up his hand. "Don't apologize. What's your name?" "James." "James what?" "James Crawford." Elvis extends his hand. "Nice to meet you, James Crawford. I'm Elvis." James shakes his hand. Confused, bewildered. "I know who you are, sir." Elvis laughs. "Good. That saves time." He turns to the band. "Boys, this is James. James, this is my band." James doesn't know what to say. The band nods. Some wave. Scotty Moore, the guitarist, smiles. Elvis turns back to James. "You work here?" "Yes, sir. Custodial." "How long?" 8 years." Elvis nods. "Good, honest work. I respect that." He looks at the mop bucket. "What were you cleaning?" "Soda spill. By the backstage entrance. Someone dropped a case of Coca-Cola this morning." Elvis frowns. "And nobody cleaned it up till now?" "No, sir. I was told to skip the arena during rehearsal. But I didn't want to leave a mess. Could be a safety hazard." Elvis looks at Joe Esposito. "Joe, did you know about the spill?" Joe shakes his head. "First I'm hearing about it." Elvis turns back to James. "So you came in here knowing you weren't supposed to because you wanted to do your job right?" James nods. "Yes, sir." Quick thought. "Have you ever broken a rule to do the right thing?" "Drop a comment." Elvis studies James for a moment, then turns to the band. "You know what? We've been at this for 2 hours. Let's take a break." The band starts to set down their instruments, but Elvis isn't finished. "Actually, no. Keep your instruments." He turns back to James. "James, you like music?" James hesitates. "Yes, sir." "What kind?" "Motown, soul, R&B." Elvis's smile widens. "My kind of music? You know where I got my sound? From black musicians. Gospel, blues, the real stuff." James nods. "I've heard that." Elvis puts his arm around James's shoulder. "James, I'm going to ask you something, and you can say no. No hard feelings." James's heart pounds. "What is it?" Elvis gestures to the arena. "See all those seats? Tonight they'll be full. 17,000 people, all screaming, all excited. It's a great feeling. But sometimes I forget why I started doing this." He pauses. "I started because music made me feel something. Made me forget about being poor, about being nobody. Music was the only place I mattered." James listens. "Not sure where this is going." Elvis continues. "Right now, this arena is empty. No crowd, no pressure, no expectations. Just us. Just the music." He looks James in the eye. "Would you stay? Just for one song. Let me sing for you. Just you. The way I used to sing in my mama's living room. Before all this." James blinks. "You want to sing for me?" "I do." "Why?" Elvis's voice softens. "Because you remind me of why I do this. You came in here to do your job right. No shortcuts, no excuses. That's integrity. That's the same attitude I try to bring to music." He gestures to the empty arena. "All those people tonight, they'll be screaming so loud they won't really hear me. But you, right now, you'll hear me." James doesn't know what to say. "I don't want to interrupt your rehearsal. You're not interrupting. You're making it better." Elvis turns to the band. "Scotty, let's do How Great Thou Art." Scotty Moore nods, picks up his guitar. The other band members ready themselves. Elvis guides James to a chair. "Front row, center, sit here." James sits, still holding his mop. Elvis walks back to center stage, takes the microphone, nods to the band. The music begins. Soft at first. Just guitar. Then the bass joins. Then the drums. And then Elvis sings. Not the rock and roll Elvis. Not the hip-shaking, high-energy performer, the gospel Elvis, the spiritual Elvis, the Elvis who grew up in church, who learned to sing praising God. His voice fills the arena. "Oh, Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder." It's powerful. It's pure. It's unlike anything James has ever heard. Not on the radio. Not on TV. This is different. This is raw. This is soul. James sits completely still, the mop forgotten, the job forgotten, everything forgotten, just the music, just Elvis's voice, just this moment. When Elvis reaches the chorus, his voice soars, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. James feels tears. He's not a crier, hasn't cried in years. But this is something else. The band plays behind Elvis, but it's Elvis's voice that carries it. Every word filled with emotion, every note filled with conviction. This isn't performance, this is prayer, this is worship, this is real. The song builds. Elvis closes his eyes, lost in the music, lost in the moment, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. The final note rings out, echoes through the empty arena, fades to silence, complete silence. Elvis opens his eyes, looks at James. James is crying, openly, tears streaming down his face. Elvis walks down from the stage, sits in the chair next to James. The band members watch silently. They've seen Elvis perform 1,000 times, but they've never seen this intimacy, this connection. Elvis puts his hand on James's shoulder. You okay? James wipes his eyes. That was beautiful. Thank you. James looks at Elvis, really looks at him, not at Elvis Presley, the superstar, at Elvis Presley, the man. Why did you do that? Elvis shrugs. Because you deserve to hear it. Because I wanted to remember why I sing. And because sometimes singing for one person means more than singing for 17,000. James nods. Can't speak. Too emotional. Elvis stands, extends his hand again. Thank you, James Crawford. You just made my day. James stands, shakes his hand. Thank you, Mr. Presley. Elvis. Thank you, Elvis. Elvis smiles. Now, you better finish cleaning that spill before someone slips. James laughs. Yes, sir. He picks up his mop, turns to leave, then stops, turns back. Elvis? Yeah? Can I tell my daughter about this? Elvis grins. You better. What's her name? Michelle. She's 16. Tell Michelle that Elvis said hi. And tell her to stay in school. James nods. I will. He walks off the stage. Through the correct door this time. Back to work. But everything has changed. As James disappears, Red West approaches Elvis. Boss, that was something else. Elvis nods. That was real. That's what I miss. Joe Esposito walks up. You just gave that man the memory of a lifetime. Elvis shakes his head. He gave me something too. He reminded me who I am. To understand why this moment mattered so much to Elvis, you need to understand where he was in 1975. Not at his peak, not even close. The 1950s, when he revolutionized music. The 1960s, when he conquered Hollywood. Those were behind him. The 1970s were different, harder, darker. In 1973, Elvis's marriage to Priscilla ended. Divorce finalized. He rarely saw his daughter, Lisa Marie. The pain of that separation ate at him. In 1974, his health began to decline. Prescription medications, weight gain, exhaustion, the grueling tour schedule, 200 shows a year, city after city, arena after arena. No rest, no recovery, just perform, travel, perform again. By 1975, Elvis was tired, not just physically, spiritually. The joy he once felt on stage was fading, replaced by routine, by obligation, by going through the motions. The crowd still came, still screamed, still loved him. But Elvis felt disconnected, like he was watching himself perform, like he wasn't really there. His friends noticed. Red West, who'd known Elvis since high school, saw it. Joe Esposito, who managed his tours, saw it. Jerry Schilling, part of the Memphis Mafia, saw it. They tried to help, suggested breaks, vacations, time to recharge. But Colonel Parker, Elvis's manager, pushed back. The show must go on. Contracts must be fulfilled. Money must be made. And Elvis, ever the professional, complied. Show after show, city after city, night after night. But inside, he was disappearing. So when James Crawford walked onto that stage, interrupted that rehearsal, something shifted. Elvis saw himself, saw a man doing his job, not for glory, not for applause, just because it was the right thing to do. And Elvis remembered when he was that man, before the fame, before the fortune, before the weight of being Elvis Presley, when he was just a truck driver who loved to sing, who sang in church, who sang for his mama, who sang because it filled something in his soul. Singing for James that day wasn't charity, wasn't publicity, wasn't performance. It was rediscovery. It was remembering. It was coming home. After James left, Elvis stood on that stage for a long moment. The band waited. Finally, Elvis spoke. "Let's do it again." "How great thou art." "Same way." Scotty frowned. "You want to rehearse it again?" "No. I want to feel it again." They played it. Elvis sang it. Same emotion. Same power. Maybe even more. When it finished, Elvis nodded. "That's the one. That's what we do tonight." That night, July 18th, 1975, 17,000 people filled Nassau Coliseum. The show was electric. Elvis performed for 2.5 hours. Every hit, every move, every smile. But when he sang "How Great Thou Art," something was different. The audience felt it. Critics later wrote about it. Elvis gave the performance of the night during "How Great Thou Art." Rolling Stone. Presley's rendition of the gospel classic was transcendent. For a moment, the spectacle faded, and we saw the artist. But they didn't know why. Didn't know about James, didn't know about the rehearsal, didn't know that Elvis was singing for one man, a janitor, who reminded him why he sang. James Crawford finished his shift that night. Watched the concert from backstage. Elvis's management gave him a pass. Backstage access. James stood in the wings. Watched Elvis perform. Saw the massive crowd. Heard the screaming. Felt the energy. And when Elvis sang "How Great Thou Art," James cried again. Because this time he knew. He knew Elvis was singing it the way he sang it that afternoon. With soul. With truth. With purpose. After the show, Elvis found James backstage. "Did you enjoy it?" "It was incredible." Elvis smiled. "But not as good as this afternoon, right?" James laughed. "This afternoon was perfect." Elvis pulled out an envelope, handed it to James. "What's this? Open it." James opened it. Inside, 2 things. First, a photo. Elvis and James, shaking hands on stage. Someone had taken it during rehearsal. Second, a check, made out to James Crawford, $5,000. James stared. "I can't accept this." Elvis closed James's hand around the envelope. "Yes, you can. Buy your daughter that car. And tell her to drive safe. How did you—" Elvis winked. "I pay attention." He'd asked around, found out about James's daughter, about the broken-down car, about why James worked overtime. And Elvis did what Elvis always did. He helped. James tried to speak, couldn't find words. Elvis hugged him. "Thank you, James. You gave me something today I didn't know I needed." "What's that?" Elvis pulled back. "You reminded me I'm still me." 3 years later, August 16th, 1977. Elvis died. The news devastated the world, radio, television, newspapers, everyone mourning, everyone sharing memories, everyone celebrating his life. James Crawford sat in his living room, watching the coverage, crying. His daughter Michelle, now 19, sat beside him. "Dad, are you okay?" James nodded, just remembering. Michelle knew the story. Her father had told her 100 times about the day he met Elvis, about the song, about the kindness. She'd heard it so many times she could recite it, but she never got tired of it, because it wasn't just a story about Elvis. It was a story about her father, about his integrity, about doing the right thing, about how that led to magic. The photo Elvis gave James hung in their living room, framed, prominent. Elvis and James, shaking hands, both smiling. Michelle had grown up looking at that photo, asking questions about it, learning about Elvis through her father's eyes. not the superstar, the man. And the car James bought with that $5,000 check? Michelle drove it through high school, through college. It finally died in 1985. But she kept the keys, kept them as a reminder of her father's character, of Elvis's generosity, of how one moment can change everything. James Crawford worked at Nassau Coliseum until he retired in 1995. 28 years total. When he retired, they held a small ceremony. His supervisor gave a speech. James Crawford is the most dedicated employee we've ever had. Never misses a day, never cuts corners, never does less than his best. After the ceremony, a reporter from the local paper interviewed James, asked about his career, his proudest moment. James didn't hesitate. July 18th, 1975. When I met Elvis Presley, he told the story. The reporter published it. The article circulated, found its way to other publications, to Elvis fan clubs, to collectors. The story became part of Elvis lore, not a famous story, not one everyone knows, but known, remembered, treasured. In 2007, 32 years after that day, James Crawford died. Heart attack. He was 81 years old. At his funeral, Michelle spoke, told stories about her father, his work ethic, his kindness, his integrity, and she told the Elvis story. In the front row, someone listened intently. Jerry Schilling, member of Elvis's Memphis Mafia. He'd traveled to New York when he heard about James's death. Wanted to pay respects. After the service, Jerry approached Michelle. "Your father was special." She smiled through tears. "Thank you. Did you know him?" "No. But I was there that day, July 18th, 1975. I saw what happened." Michelle's eyes widened. "You were?" Jerry nodded. "I've worked with Elvis for years. Seen him be generous 1,000 times. But that day was different. That day, Elvis wasn't being generous. He was being grateful." "For what?" Jerry smiled. "For being reminded that good people still exist, that integrity still matters, that you don't need fame or fortune to live with dignity." He paused. "Your father gave Elvis a gift that day." And Elvis knew it. Michelle cried. Jerry hugged her. When he pulled back, he handed her something. "What's this?" "Open it." Michelle opened it. A CD, labeled in handwritten ink. Elvis Presley, Nassau Coliseum, July 18th, 1975. "How Great Thou Art," for James Crawford. "This is a recording?" Jerry nodded. "From that afternoon, the rehearsal, the one he sang just for your dad. How do you have this?" "Someone on the crew recorded it. It's been in the Elvis Presley estate archives. When I heard about your father, I got permission to give it to you." Michelle stared at the CD. "I don't know what to say. Don't say anything, just listen to it." And remember, Michelle did. That night, alone in her father's house, she played the CD. Elvis's voice filled the room. "Oh, Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder," it was perfect, pure, exactly as her father had described it. She cried, but they were good tears, grateful tears, because her father's story was real. The proof was in her hands. The proof was in Elvis's voice. The proof was in that moment, captured forever. Today, if you search online for Elvis Nassau Coliseum 1975, you'll find articles, concert reviews, photos, set lists, but you'll also find James Crawford's story, told and retold by Elvis fans, by music historians, by people who believe in kindness. The photo of Elvis and James has been reproduced in books, in documentaries, in online forums. It's become iconic, not because it's flashy, but because it's human. Two men, different backgrounds, different lives, different worlds, connected by music, by respect, by humanity. In 2015, Michelle Crawford donated her father's photo and the CD to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They accepted it, displayed it in a special exhibit. Elvis, the Private Man. The exhibit ran for 6 months. Millions of visitors saw it, read the story, listened to the recording. Many left comments. One read, "This is the Elvis I wish more people knew." Another, "Thank you for sharing this. It reminds me that celebrities are human too." Another, "James Crawford's integrity created magic. We should all live that way." The exhibit closed, but the items remain in the Hall of Fame's permanent collection, available to researchers, to historians, to anyone who wants to understand the real Elvis. Not just the legend, the man. Michelle Crawford is 70 years old now. She lives in Long Island, not far from Nassau Coliseum. She's retired, grandmother of 4, but she still tells the story to her grandchildren, to anyone who asks, to anyone who'll listen, because it's more than just a story about Elvis. It's a story about her father, about doing the right thing, about how one moment of integrity can lead to a lifetime of memories. And it's a story about Elvis, about his generosity, his humility, his humanity, the qualities that made him more than a singer, more than a performer, more than a star. They made him Elvis. Quick thought. When was the last time you showed someone unexpected kindness? Drop a comment. In a world that often celebrates the spectacle, the flash, the performance, it's easy to forget what matters. Kindness, respect, humanity. James Crawford never sought fame, never wanted attention. He just wanted to do his job right. And for that, he received the gift of a lifetime. Elvis Presley never publicized that moment, never used it for press, never made it part of his image. He just lived it, because that's who he was. Both men are gone now, but their story remains. A reminder that small acts can have big impacts, that doing the right thing matters, that we're all just people, trying to do our best, trying to connect, trying to matter. On July 18, 1975, in an empty arena in Long Island, 2 men connected, a janitor and a king, both just trying to do their job right. And in that moment, they created something beautiful, something real, something that still echoes today. Music filled that arena that afternoon. But it was more than music. It was humanity. It was respect. It was 2 souls recognizing each other, and unfortunately, they don't make men like Elvis Presley anymore.